It's another episode of the Peak Signing Agents podcast and YouTube channel with me, your host, DVO Derek Van Otten. Thank you for tuning in. I always appreciate every time you come on and watch or listen to a new episode. I do really appreciate it. So thank you so much. Who wants to hear a story? I got a doozy of a story. Well, one of my local notaries called me up and she said, well, I have a situation that came up. And how would you handle this in a professional way, she asked me, because I am not going to keep my cool about how this is going down. And I said, please spill the tea and tell me what's going on. And she told me her story. And I said, guess what? This has happened to me. And I bet it might have happened to you, or if you've been doing loan signings long enough, it might happen to you. Well, here's my episode and tips on how I would handle it, how I did handle it, how I gave this tip to my notary friend here on how she should handle it in the future. Because it can be scary, and that's the documents are basically lost. So let me tell you the story. So my friend tells me she does a whole packet, right? It's a, I want to say it's purchase or refi, but it was a thick packet of documents. About 160 pages, she said. About 160 pages. And the title company calls her a few days later and says, hey, we just got the documents. There's only one page in here and the envelope. So if you're brand new, let me give you a little quick rundown. As signing agents, what we do, and this whole episode is to help you become the best notary and signing agent that you can be. So you are going to get an order, and you're going to print all the documents. In fact, you're not only going to print documents to get signed, you're going to print a copy and leave it with the signer. So you're going to print all these documents. You're going to go to the signer's location, wherever they tell you, sign all the paperwork, get everything signed, dated, initialed, stamped. Then when you're done, most likely you have to do a set of scans, scan everything back, send it to them, let them review it, tell you to drop it. Then you'll go to FedEx or UPS or the title company and drop the documents. That's our job. That's our role. That's what we do. So if you're signing up to be a signing agent, just know that's what you're signing up for. That's what we do. Not a problem. But now, that was on a Monday, and then Wednesday or Thursday rolls around. They say, hey, we only got one page back. And she was like, so they're putting pressure on the notary. You need to go back right away and get all this signed. Well, that happened to me one time. I signed a whole bunch of documents. I even did scans, shipped the documents. And they said, hey, we just got the envelope and it's empty. So in my situation, they said the envelope was empty. In this notary situation, they said there's only one page in here out of 160. And mine was about that too. Mine was about 160 pages as well. So what do we do? What do you do? Well, I'll tell you what I did. Every time I drop off documents, and every time you drop off documents, you should be getting a receipt. Well, you didn't pay for it, so it's not like a receipt showing how much you paid for the shipping. So, again, if you're brand new, you do not have to pay for the return packet. They will provide you a shipping label, usually via FedEx or UPS. That's the most common. Like 99.5% of the time, your returning document is going to be via UPS or FedEx. I've only had one situation where they're like, hey, we have a few random pages. Can you get this signed, ship it with the normal post office, give us a receipt, and we'll reimburse you for it. That's happened like once or twice ever for me. But it's usually going to be a FedEx or UPS, okay? Always get a receipt. Always get a receipt showing that you dropped off. Why do you want to get a receipt? Well, a couple things are important on that receipt. The first thing that's important, in my opinion, is the date and time stamp. The date and time you dropped it off is going to be on that receipt. That's important. That's the most important, in my opinion, on that shipping label. Receipt, I mean. The second best thing on there is the location you dropped it off at. So it's going to show the day, the time, and the location of where you dropped off those documents. And in this situation, a fourth thing was very important on this. So let me tell you how we took care of it, and that fourth thing on that receipt that's important. I told this notary, I said, because I know where she lives, and I know where the place that she went to do the signing at. And it's not close by. Okay, it was a little bit of a drive, not too much, but a little bit of a drive. And so she has to go do that. She has to go drive up there and get everything re-signed when she did everything properly. She told me this. She was like, I don't remember if they needed scans or not on this that she did, but she did scans anyway. She's like, I always do scans anyway to cover my butt. Good thing she did, because she did scans. And when they said, hey, we only got one page back, you need to get this re-signed right away. That's what happened with me too. They said, hey, we just got the envelope. It's empty. And they're putting pressure on me. You need to get everything signed right away. I'm like, I shipped everything. I don't know how you need to get this fixed, Derek, but you need to get this fixed right now. You need to get this taken care of right away. And I'm like, no. Now, I'm saying this because if you're brand new, you might feel that pressure. And you know what? Maybe you did make a mistake. I don't know. How did we handle this? So I told her, I said, she told me that. She does scans anyway, no matter what. She uploaded scans. I said, well, that's a great thing that you did right there, because you've got scans, so you can show, look, we have signed everything. So we didn't just sign one document. We signed everything. And she told me, she said, one thing that was weird is that they only wanted a few documents. They wanted the note, they wanted the deed, and they wanted something else. And I said, well, it's probably because you did do scans. They probably actually are going to use most of those scans, but there's a few things they need wet signed that probably they need the originals of, and they need your stamp on those. And those are important things. The note, the deed, and I can't remember exactly what the other document was, but it was another document. There's 4 documents in total, I believe she said. But I was like, yeah, those are pretty important documents, so they probably want the originals of those. But everything else they probably are going to use off your scan. So number one, good job doing scans. But good thing you got there is I said, did you get a receipt? And she does. She has a receipt from when she dropped it off. And she's like, and I showed them. I showed them also on that receipt. Here's that fourth thing on that receipt that's important. The weight. So they put it on a scale. When you drop off your documents, they put it on a scale and then they scan it on the scale and it has a weight on it. It's 1/2 pound. One document, one page is not going to weigh 1/2 pound. You know what does weigh 1/2 pound? 160 pages weighs 1/2 pound. So that's the fourth thing that was very important on that receipt. She can say, look, here's the receipt. Here's the receipt. It shows the time and date that I dropped it off, and it has the weight of the package. So, signing service, I apologize, but this is not my mistake. This is what happened with my situation. I'll tell you my situation first, because my situation was pretty quick, and I'll tell you my tips to her. So with my situation, they said, hey, we got the envelope back, and there's nothing inside. So I try to get clarification. I'm like a detective here, okay? And I say, what do you mean there's nothing inside? Like, you opened it and there was nothing inside, or was it already opened when you got it delivered? Like, there's a big difference between, hey, you got it and it's empty, you opened it, because it has a secure, like kind of like a closure on it. It's a sticky closure, okay? It's sticky, and you fold it over and you close it, like an envelope. Like when you're gonna use the post office, you lick, you know how you lick the back and you stick it down, and it's an adhesive. Once you lick it and get it moist. Well, on these FedEx UPS, there's a little wax strip you peel off. Once you peel that off, the sticky adhesive is exposed, and you close it and you seal it. Well, to open that, there's a little drawstring that you pull across to open. That you zip. I remember the old chewing gum packets. I don't know. Maybe you're too young for that. You have to peel it away. Or Band-Aids. Remember the Band-Aids? You had to peel that red string to open it up. Anyway, Similar to that, right? You peel it to open it. So my question was, did you open it and it was empty, or it was already opened, and you looked inside to an empty envelope? And they weren't really giving me an answer on it. And I said, well, here's my receipt showing that I had dropped it off, and here's the weight of it. But I did want to help. So I was trying to reach out to the borrowers to try to see if they were available to re-sign everything. But I was, I was trying to just get some things in order first. Then they messaged me and said, never mind. The FedEx driver just came back and gave us the documents because they found it in the bottom of the truck. I'm like, yeah. But I wasn't going to be pressured into it, by the way. I was not going to let them pressure me into it. They were trying to pressure me into going out there for free and re-signing everything. But that was a learning experience. So I told this notary, I said, what I would do in the future. This is for all of you listening and watching. Okay, this is how I would handle this situation in the future. If you are for sure that you shipped all the documents back, you're for sure you got that receipt showing where you dropped it, what day and time you dropped it, and the weight of the package that you dropped off. You are feeling for sure I did everything. I even gave you scans to show that we signed everything. I have the receipt showing the weight of the package that I have dropped off. You have everything to prove that I have done it. Now, this is how I handle it. Let's just say it's through a signing service, okay? I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Signing Service, as you can see, I've done scans, assuming you've done scans, so we signed everything. Here is a copy of the drop receipt, whether it's from UPS or FedEx. Here's a copy showing where I dropped it, what time I dropped it, what day I dropped it, and the weight of the documents. As you can see, it's from the copy of this receipt. The package I dropped off weighed this amount. That is clearly going to be more. That's clearly about the weight of the amount of documents I had. So I have done my job. I printed all the paperwork. I got all the paperwork signed. You saw that. You saw scanned copies. I dropped it off. As you can see from the receipt, I have dropped it off. But unfortunately, FedEx or UPS has somehow mismanaged this package. I feel terrible that FedEx or UPS has mismanaged this package. You probably have to reach out to them to find out what's happened. That'll be your best bet to find out what happened. Now, if you need me to go and fix FedEx and UPS's mistake, I will be happy to go back out there and get the sign, but I'll have to do it for a fee again. So this is what's happened. With my communication, I did not apologize on me, the notary's behalf. I am saying I am sorry for FedEx and UPS's mistake here. By the way, they make lots of mistakes. But I get it. They have a lot going on there. Right? They have tons of packages and presents and Amazon and things being shipped around. I couldn't imagine being on the logistics teams of UPS or FedEx. That is a hard job. I couldn't imagine it. But anyway, I am not apologizing on behalf of me, the notary, because I did my job. I will say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry that FedEx and UPS dropped the ball. That's what I'm doing. I'm passing the blame because it is their fault, right? If you have the proof that I just talked about, if you have the proof that you did your job, then it is all FedEx and UPS's fault. And I'm saying I'm sorry that they made a big mistake like this. I feel terrible that they being FedEx or UPS have made a mistake. I'm passing the blame onto them. The blame's not on me. The blame is on them. I'm sorry they made this big mistake. You know what? I'll be willing to help fix it. I mean, there is a fee for me to go back out there and sign everything again, print everything and sign everything again. There is a fee for me to do all that again, but I will be happy to help that. So what I'm doing is I'm giving resolution as well. I'm passing the blame to who it should go to, FedEx, UPS, but I'm also trying to bring a resolution. You know what? I'll be happy to go out there and do this again. I know who they are. Most likely you maybe have a copy of their IDs still. I know who they are. I would recognize them. We can go through. It would be fast, right? Because you've already explained all the paperwork. It would be fast to re-explain to go through all the paperwork again. Be fast to re-explain. You don't even need to print them a copy again, right? They have a copy from the first time you went out there. You just got to reprint those documents again. Go get everything signed again. It'd be fast. You're just going to show them it's the same paperwork. And when you call them, say, you know what? Hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but FedEx and UPS, they dropped the ball and they lost your package. So we have to get everything signed again. Sorry to tell you. When can I come over? And they might be upset, like, oh my gosh, all of our private information is on that. Yeah, I get it. How can we be sure that this will go through this time? I can't guarantee that. But I will tell you this. It wasn't your mortgage company. It wasn't your title company. And it wasn't me, your notary. We all did our parts to make sure everything went safely. It was FedEx or UPS. So, I apologize on their behalf, but it was none of our faults. It was purely on them. And I can't guarantee that they'll take care of it good this time. And I don't know what's going to happen. You should take that up with their corporate. You should call their corporate. So you pass the blame on. Hey, you know what? You don't want to throw your clients under the bus. You don't want to throw your mortgage company or title company under the bus, or the signing service. You don't want to throw any of them under the bus, because they're your clients and they're the ones that's going to be paying you ultimately. But you can help bring resolution as well to the client. You're going to have to call their corporate number. You have to call their customer service number and tell them what happened. That they lost your package that has personal information on it. So that's separate. But I'm just trying, at this moment though, I'm trying to help you get your house taken care of. I'm trying to help you sell your home. I'm trying to help you buy your home. I'm trying to help you refinance your home. I'm just going to try to help you with that at this moment to help take care of that. But you need to talk to their corporate office to figure that out. So that's how I would handle both sides. Calling the client to tell them the situation and tell them what happened. I had a recent situation come up too, actually. This week, one of my clients says, hey, Derek, can you help go get this note signed? It's just the note. It doesn't have to be notarized if you weren't aware. Notes usually do not get notarized. But it was after hours. They weren't going to be home until I think it was anytime after 6. They said anytime after 6 p.m. So I think it's because they were at work and they had to get this re-signed. The mortgage company, for some reason, just lost the note. All the documents were fine. But for some reason, they cannot find the note. And so I called the clients up, hey, we need to get this note re-signed. I showed up, said, as you can see, it's just the note. Same one. Just here it is. Here's the balance, here's your interest rate, here's your first payment date, and here's your principal interest amount. It's the same information. They just need this re-signed. I don't know if they told you why or anything. And they said, no, they didn't tell us why. They just said they need it re-signed. I said, yeah. The note is one of the most important documents. So if it's not in good condition, do you need the original? Sometimes they just scan them a copy, and sometimes they need the originals, or sometimes they might get a little damaged, or they can't read the scan properly, and they just need it done properly. So I'm going to give them these originals. They just need it done again. As you can see, everything. So I didn't throw the mortgage company under the bus. They can't find it. I don't know why they can't find it, but I'm just telling the client, hey, these are truths. Okay, these are truths. The note is one of the most important documents, and if they don't have a good quality scan, or if they don't know exactly where the document is in the package, then you know what? They just want the original back. So we're just gonna sign this. That way, it's in perfect condition. You don't even have to date this note, and so it's not gonna hinder anything. Because that's one of the questions. Is this going to stop it? No. Just go ahead and sign this. As you can see, it's the exact same note you signed the first time. But I'm going to take this over there tomorrow morning. I'm going to take the original. They're going to have the original. And then they're going to get everything finished up. Everything's fine. They're like, okay. So that's what I told them. I didn't throw anyone under the bus. I just kind of told them some examples of what the situation is. The note is important. The deed is important. Sometimes the scans are not great quality, because they try to work off scans sometimes, or sometimes they just can't find it in the package. So we're just gonna redo these originals. I'm gonna give them the hard copies so that they have the hard copies in hand. Okay, everyone's happy. Anyway, that was our story. I hope it benefits you. I hope it's a learning lesson for you what to do. Sometimes, even if they don't want scans, sometimes it's better to just do scans and always get that receipt. And if anything gets happened, to the package. This is how you should handle it. Pass the blame where the blame belongs, as long as it does belong there, and then provide resolution, provide a solution to help everyone. That's what a peak signing agent would do. And if you find value from this, if you got value from this, please go to YouTube, subscribe, maybe even leave a comment. Go to whatever podcast you like listening to and follow this podcast. Share it with anyone. And if you hear anyone that has a situation come up, please share this episode with them on how to handle it. I hope it doesn't ever happen to you, though. And I just want you to know that you are an amazing notary. And if you're just getting started and people are questioning you and doubting you, like, what are you doing? You're going to become a notary. You know what? They don't know what you know. They don't know what you're willing to do. And you're willing to work your butt off to be successful and provide for your family. I know that for sure. Talk to you next episode.